Fascist Alexander Dugin says, liberal forces of darkness will destroy all who oppose them. In The Great Awakening versus the Great Reset, which I've actually read, this wacko book by the fascist Russian Christian nationalist philosopher Alexander Dugin gets into his fucking unhinged paranoid conspiracy theory about American Democrats wanting to jail and kill anyone who disagrees with them. He starts with his grand opus conspiracy theory about the so-called Great Reset. I've explained this in the last video or two on this book. Basically, Dugin thinks that billionaires and world leaders at the World Economic Forum, like Klaus Schwab and King Charles, are going to engineer a global Chinese-style social credit system in which they own everything and the rest of us own nothing. This is apparently going to happen through the process of things like forcing everyone to become trans and get vaccinated. Dugin goes on from here to get into more of his hyperbolic and nonsensical claims that are based on nothing. According to him, liberal globalists see themselves as immortal warriors of light. Dugin says that according to them, all who oppose them are literally forces of fucking darkness. Yeah. By this logic, those who the liberal globalists call, quote unquote, the enemies of open society must be dealt with severely. And then, quote, if the enemy does not surrender, he will be destroyed. He's quoting no one there. He's totally just made that quote up out of thin air. Dugin argues that enemies of liberal globalists are anyone who questions all forms of liberalism, globalism, and individualism. I'm just going to quote him here so you can see how much of a smug dipshit he is. Quote, this is the new ethic of liberalism. It's nothing personal. Everyone has the right to be liberal, but no one has the right to be anything else. Unquote. Yeah, bro. Fucking dumbass. And we know that with this, his language of criticizing particularly liberalism and individualism, that's how he cloaks, he uses his post-structuralist sounding and post-capital and anti-capitalist sounding rhetoric, not here but elsewhere, to as a Trojan horse to smuggle in his fascism, because we know how much of fucking authoritarian his views are and like literally fascist according to many other philosophers and people who know about the leadership in Russia, because these are also apparently so-called Putin's brain, although how much influence he has on Putin is debatable. But yeah, anyway, so Dugin argues that the enemies of liberal globalists are anyone who questions all forms of liberalism, globalism, and individualism. So he sets it, and in this section of this book, he gets into his wacko conspiracy theory with no evidence behind it that liberal globalists and Democrats see themselves as immortal warriors of light who must destroy all who oppose them. This whole book is his epic hyperbolic rants about what he calls the Great Reset. He uses this as his foundational conspiracy theory on which to build all of his other ones. He uses the Great Reset to justify his insanely over-the-top claims about liberal globalists and Democrats wanting to literally fucking destroy all who oppose them. That's obviously bullshit. He also doesn't even explain any reasons behind this opinion, let alone offer any evidence. Even quotes, even if you despise liberals, globalists, and slash or Democrats, there's no reason at all to believe that they will destroy all who oppose them. He's just spraying bullshit out of his mouth. Fascist Alexander Dugin says, liberal forces of darkness will destroy all who oppose them.